call, please.
Audrey Adamson,
Here.
Justin Anderson,
Present.
Chet DeSmet,
Here.
Kate Schaefer,
Here.
Maria S. Trigueros,
Here.
Andrew Wayart,
Here.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Here. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are glad that you are here. The Moline-Coal Valley School Board welcomes public comment and communication at its regularly monthly meetings. We are a board that prides itself in listening to different points of view. We ask that all views are treated with respect and courtesy tonight. Members of the public are asked to adhere to the following procedures. Address the board only at the designated appropriate time as indicated on the agenda, and only when recognized by the board president. Identify oneself by name, be brief. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. Conduct oneself with respect and civility toward the others, and otherwise abide by policy 830, which references visitor conduct on district property. For example, number 16 in the policy says no person shall engage in any conduct that interferes, disrupts, or adversely affects the district or a school function. The board president may exclusively, as part of her board leadership role, that's me, shorten or lengthen the individual's opportunity to speak, as well as establishing a certain amount of time in advance for comments related to the same topic. For tonight's meeting, 40 minutes will be allowed for public comment. In addition, the Board of Education is aware of the public's concern regarding a recent facility use rental for an after-school club. Board of Education policy allows for communities to use our facilities. The district routinely approves many facility use agreements with local churches, in addition to numerous non-religious organizations. A parent and taxpayer of our district reached out to this organization asking them to start a local chapter in Moline. Similar to the Good News Club, another religiously affiliated facility rental in our district. This request met all of the school district requirements imposed on other requesting groups in advance of the school district approval being granted. The district cannot by law discriminate against any requested public use of district premises. The only choice the Board of Education has is either to allow all outside groups to rent our facilities or deny all groups from renting our facilities. This board and boards in the past have chosen to allow all groups, such as the YMCA, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, City of Moline's Park and Rec, etc., to utilize the school district premises. The board fully appreciates recent public concerns regarding this issue. However, believes it's consistent practice of allowing outside groups to rent our facilities remains in the best interest of our public schools. It should be further noted that we were contacted by another school district in Lebanon, Ohio, who is working through this exact same issue. We are not alone in following policy and being stuck in the middle of an issue that goes beyond our district borders. As we will all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3. The approval of minutes. The minutes of the open session and regular board meeting of education meeting of January 10th, 2022. I have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. I have a roll call, please.
Audrey Adamson,
Aye.
Justin Anderson,
Aye.
Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Kate Schaefer,
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros,
Aye.
Andrew Wayart,
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. All right, communications, public comment, and participation. If I say your name wrong, I apologize. All right, I am going to start with Judy Ramsey.
Well, my concern is for this very thing that you were talking about, allowing demonic clubs to be allowed into school facilities. And I guess my first question would be, would you want your children going to an event like that? And isn't there some way that you can get around it where this type of behavior is unacceptable? Because don't we live in a Christian society? Don't we live by the commandments of the Bible? Not only that, the Constitution of the United States. I understand that, you know, there is the First Amendment where everybody has a free speech, but there has to come a time, I believe, when we have to draw the line on what is good and what is evil. And I think we're seeing a lot of that in the last 2 years in our country because it's going to hell in a handbasket. So, you know, I just, you know, would want to know, do you want your children going to this? That's all I'm asking.
We do not respond to questions.
No, I know you can't respond, but you know, I have a child still in the school district and, you know, I have a concern. So that's all.
Neil.
Okay, good evening. My name is Larry McNeil, and I live in East Moline, and I'm the local director for Child Evangelism Fellowship of Illinois, and this is the West Central Chapter, which covers 9 counties in Illinois. And I have to say it's a pleasure to be back in this school building because I spent 3 years here going to junior high, starting in 1960, so that kind of dates me a little bit. Brings back a lot of memories. But I'm here to promote our after-school Good News Club that we have in Moline Grade School. And I just want to say that I've been active in CEF since 1998. My wife was active since 1996. We both attended Children's Ministry Institute in Warrington, Missouri. And we both, and along with a lot of volunteers, we have conducted Good News Clubs for many years. And we've never seen any negative responses about this program. These are well-run programs. And a survey of principals in schools who have Good News Clubs found that they have saw positive changes in children's behavior as a result of the character traits taught in the club. For an example, one of the school's secretaries called me at noon one day and she said, the boys are at their dinner table, their lunch table, and they're all praying for their lunch. So I think it's a good thing. We recently been in a news cycle because we have an after-school Good News Club in Moline. And another club called the After School Satan Club has been controversial and it's called quite a stir. Truth, wisdom, and God are on our side. God is at work in this situation. Opposition clubs never last long because most parents will allow their children to attend. I want to help calm the height of this news cycle. But first, I want to say 2020 and 2021 have really been hard on the children and hard on all of us. My wife passed away in 2021. Children need to know that God loves them.
Amen.
He has a wonderful purpose for their life. God loves everyone. And He has created us in the image of God for value. How we got here in this situation? Well, that's 2001 Supreme Court ruling allowed non-school religious clubs to be held in public schools, which you have already mentioned. And they take place after school on school property, after school hours. Permission slips have to be sent home with the children. And any club that is qualified can take place, which includes insurance and a good child protection policy. Parents need to give permission to their children to attend these after-school programs, and it's a parent's responsibility to approve opportunities for after-school activities. A couple of weeks ago, a child came home from school with a flyer and permissions for promoting the after-school skating club. So the mother posted on Facebook and said, seeing a flyer almost made her sick. That was posted on Facebook. And from that post, the comments exploded. I'm here tonight to ask the people in our community not to blame the school, the principal of any school, the Board of Education, or the superintendent for allowing this after-school Satan club.
Mr. McNeil, I have to cut you off. But thank you. And please accept our condolences on your wife. Adam Rustin, please.
My name is Adam Gustafson. I have a daughter at St. Adams Elementary, so this does certainly hit close home to home for me. I have to say that I was surprised to hear in your statement that you said that other religious clubs have been allowed, like the Good News Club, where these after-school Satan Club has made it very specific in their flyer that they are not a religious organization. They claim to be an educational organization, so either they got their club into the school under the wrong guise or somebody's covering for them, but I digress. I have studied in depth our founding fathers of this country. And it takes a very elementary knowledge of each one to know that they all held a belief in divine providence. Despite what many of your professors probably told you, they did in fact believe in divine providence. They were all not perfect men, but who is? So those were their guiding principles in creating this country. And I don't think it's too much for our community to ask that our taxpayer-funded schools reflect
I'm sorry.
the principles
I'm
and
sorry to
values.
interrupt you. There is to be no audience participation at all, especially when someone is speaking. I apologize. Go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, I don't think it's too much for our community to expect that our taxpayer-funded schools reflect the values and principles on which this country was founded. We are all Americans. We don't all believe in Christ or Buddha or Muhammad or what have you. Some have no belief system. It takes just as much faith to believe there is no God than that there isn't. But I think as Americans, if we truly want to unite and we want to be Americans, we can see the value in the principles that this country was founded on, that the Constitution was framed by. Not to say that this is a theocracy, but these are principles and morals and values that our taught in Christian circles, like in Christian doctrine. And I expect my schools and the schools that I send my children to and that I pay for reflect those values. That's very important to me. And I ask, well, in fact, I know. When I went to elementary school here in Moline, the doors were never locked. We never locked them. In and out, anybody could go in and out. And why do we lock them now? Because of school shooters, correct? That was at least the majority of the reason. But here we are, promoting a club, allowing them to use the facilities to advance, in their words, personal sovereignty. Personal sovereignty, meaning there's no one above you. There's no authority but you. You are a little God unto yourself. The same ideals and moral compass that gave these school shooters their idea that they deserve to decide who lives and dies. Because there's nobody above them. There's no one to judge them and tell them that their actions are wrong. And this is a club that promotes these very ideals. Personal sovereignty is saying, I am a deity unto myself and no one can judge me. No one will tell me what's wrong and right. And that's the reason we have so much crime these days. That's why children get out of hand and our poor teachers sometimes are scared to come to work. Because we got a bunch of little deities running around thinking they're God and no one can tell them what to do. And this is a club that you're allowing into my daughter's school to teach that very ideal. I thank you for your time, and I pray that you can reconsider on this club.
Jeff Gustafson?
Since we're socially distanced, can I remove my mask for the,
Feel free.
okay, thank you very much. Especially those who don't like the Bears would be happy for me. I'm a 68-year-old lifelong resident of Moline. Spent my 7 elementary years at William Carr School. Anybody here old enough to remember Tony Esposito?
Yeah.
Okay. Passed away a few days ago. He was my principal, great man. I had 3 fine years at John Deere Junior High. And I'm in the enemy camp here, I guess. But that's okay. Graduated from Moline High School, class of 71. Great class, great year. Now I have a grandchild at Jane Addams. And unfortunately, it's come to this. Here's a point I'd like the board to consider. Our school systems say that they are outcome-based. In other words, we want an outcome from an education. Okay, consider the outcome of these kids who will try to be taught, or who will be taught personal sovereignty by the Satan's Club. No sovereign God. You are a God unto yourself. No one to answer to. You make up the rules as you go, because you're sovereign. So what kind of outcome will our school system have reaped when personal sovereignty replaces the strength and stability of a loving God? Outcome is the key principle to doing the right thing here tonight. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I just apologize ahead of time. Sue Chris Mantis?
That's very good. You're doing well.
Just gotta say it faster, it's crispin.
Now you're asking a lot. All right, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Sue Crispinitz. I'm the current team leader of the Jane Addams Good News Club. We all want our lives to have purpose and meaning to impact others. It was a privilege and rewarding for me to teach kindergarten through fifth graders here in Moline in the area of fitness and physical education for 20 plus years, retired in 2017. As a retiree, leading a good news club with 7 volunteer friends, ages 65 to 95, yes, 95, all fully trained and screened, I might add, has been an exciting opportunity with purpose as well. A purpose for helping children to have a strong faith. A faith, if they so choose, that will hopefully enable them to cope with the challenging highs and lows of everyday life and the fears and anxieties they may experience in these times of pandemic and beyond. In a recent press release by USA CEF Ministries, I feel they identify for us what has taken place recently. It affirms the law that Moline District 40 has followed and points out what both organizations, Child Evangelism Fellowship Good News Club and the Satan After School Club, strive to attain. In case you have not read it, please be open to hearing it. In 2001, a Supreme Court ruling allowed for non-school sponsored religious clubs to be held on public school property after hours. Good News Clubs operated by Child Evangelism Fellowship and other privately sponsored clubs must be given the same access to facilities accorded any other group. Because Good News Clubs can't be shut down legally, opponents use a ploy to alarm parents and school boards. Here's how the ploy works. Atheists for Satan Club, they admittedly have no intention of teaching children about Satan, but want to raise hysteria in hopes of shutting down religious clubs. CEF Communications representative Lydia Kaiser says, quote, "The Satan Club organizers say one of their primary tenets is to stand against bigotry and hate. It's ironic that a charge of bigotry and hate is being leveled by an organization that's trying to shut down another's freedom to tell children that God loves them and they have inherent dignity and value. Restricting any optional activities is a loss to First Amendment liberties and penalizes children who need wholesome extracurricular activities. CEF encourages school boards to not be intimidated, to not restrict any clubs, and to let the parents decide what their children will attend, which is exactly what Moline has done at this time. Clubs with good programming will flourish, and those without good programming will not. The CDC recently reported the suicide rate among children climbed steeply in the last decade, and now we have mental health issues as a result of COVID. Youth are in deep trouble and need the grounding that faith gives them. Pre-COVID restrictions, CEF had over 6,000 after-school Good News Clubs in the USA, with almost 5,000 clubs located on school property. A survey of those principals found they saw positive changes in children's behavior as a result of the character traits clubs taught. Child Evangelism Fellowship is an international nonprofit Christian ministry teaching the Bible to children since 1937. CEF has 400 offices in the USA and is organized in most nations of the world with over 3,500 paid staff and hundreds of thousands of volunteers. In its last ministry year, CEF ministered to over 16 million children in its face-to-face teaching ministries. I have added my contact info to my form and am more than happy to talk to anyone who has questions. Feel free to refer them. I thank you for your time and for following the law. I understand all your concerns, but I think the key line is the good clubs will flourish, the other ones will not, and it's up to the parents. You'll find if you look at the numbers of who's attending what, don't be worried.
Excuse me. I got it. All right. Kyle Clare.
Good evening, Board of Education. I'm glad that there's a lot of people here, not as many as I thought because this was a national news story in USA Today, but it's still good to see that all of you are here as a community to come and support. I'm here to speak against this huge distraction that has made national headlines, but really a Satan club This club was requested, approved, and had flyers printed out, and not one sane adult said, you know what, this is stupid. Your response was unacceptable. You don't discriminate against any groups. Now let's talk about that. Any groups. What does any groups mean? Would the KKK get any discrimination in this school? Would a Nazi club be discriminated against, not allowed in an elementary school? And since this was an elementary school with 5 to 10-year-olds, would a stripper club be allowed in the elementary school since you not discriminate against any group for any reason? These are all things to think about. Now, you call this a religiously affiliated group. Now, the Department of Defense actually defines 200 recognized religions in America. Satanism is not one of them. It is not on that list. The definition of religion is the belief in worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. Satanists don't believe in Satan. They believe he is a work of fiction. Satanism is a religion with the sole purpose of making Christians mad, which I guess works. Now, is this cult, which is a more appropriate term, suitable to be in an elementary school for 5 to 10-year-olds? Here's some beliefs: indulgence, kindness to those who deserve it, instead of love wasted on ingrates. Vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Satan represents all sins, which include adultery, murder, and hate. If a guest annoys you, treat him cruelly and without mercy. If someone bothers you, ask him to stop. If he does not stop, destroy him. This is the kind of teaching you are bringing into an elementary school for, again, 5 to 10-year-olds, under the guise of freedom of religion. This isn't a religion. It's a cult that wishes to teach people to be evil and full of spite, and that is the last thing we need in this country. Let's also not forget that there is a pedophile symbol on the flyer in the eyeball of Satan. If you look at the flyer, there is a triangle which represents pedophilia on the flyer. Are pedophiles a group that is discriminated against in a school for 5 to 10-year-olds? I mean, seriously, this school has brought a group that is promoting pedophilia to be around vulnerable children. What is wrong with all of you? Can we not just have normal clubs? They don't have to be Christian clubs, but how about something age appropriate? Are you that out of ideas that you need to delegate after-school activities to devil worshippers? They're not even devil worshippers, it's not religion. And another question is, who's paying for this facility to be used? Who pays the bills? Who foots the bills? Are they paying for everything between this school? Or are we getting tax dollars put into this club? There's ESSER funding that is put out to schools to emergency relief funding. I'm sure you're all well aware of this. Now, where is that money going to? Is it going into after-school clubs like this? Or is it going to the children's education, which is what we need to get back into? This is what schools have forgotten. This is a board of education, not a board. Just focus on education and everything will come naturally. We don't have to worry about all these big distractions in this country. All 7 of you stood up today and pledged allegiance to that flag and said, one nation under God. If you can't get rid of the club, fine. But why don't you condemn this club? Is that not possible for the Board of Education to condemn Satanists? That is all I ask. And I'm just plainly disturbed, but thank you for letting me speak.
Okay, we move on to number 5, which is the consent agenda. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the actions contained in the consent agenda as presented. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Okay, just a pre-warning. There's a lot of reading that's going to happen, like the next several agendas. I did lose my voice last week, so I will do the best that I can. Right. Number 6, the first reading of the revised Board of Education policies for Section 2 school board. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for school board sections 2150 Ethics and Justice, and 2150 fails.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow this reading to stand for both first and second reading.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Kate Schaefer, Maria S. Trigueros, Andrew Wayers,
Aye.
Audrey Adamson,
Aye.
Justin Anderson, Aaron Waldron Smith,
Aye. Number 7. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 2.20, powers and duties of the school board indication as presented.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for first and second reading.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Kate Schaefer,
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros, Andrew Wayers,
Aye.
Audrey Adamson, Justin Anderson, Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith,
Aye. Number 8, the recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading and revised Board of Education policy, section 2110, qualification, terms, and duties of board officers as presented.
I'd like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both the first and second reading.
We have a motion,
So moved.
discussion? Okay. Roll call, please.
Maria S. Trigueros, Andrew Wayers,
Aye.
Audrey Adamson, Justin Anderson, Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Kate Schaefer, Aaron Waldron Smith,
Aye. Number 9, the Board of Education accepts the first reading of the revised Board of Education, Board of Education policy for section 2120, board member development as presented.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow this reading to stand for both the first and second reading.
Have a motion? Second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Andrew Wayers,
Aye.
Audrey Adamson,
Aye.
Justin Anderson, Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Kate Schaefer,
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros,
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith,
Aye. Number 10, the recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 2.220, school board meeting procedure as presented.
I'd like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both first and second reading.
Second.
Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Audrey Adamson,
Aye.
Justin Anderson, Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Kate Schaefer, Maria S. Trigueros, Andrew Wayers,
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith,
Aye. Number 11. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 2.260, uniform grievance procedure as presented.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both the first and second reading.
Motion,
So moved.
Second.
discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Justin Anderson,
Aye.
Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Kate Schaefer,
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros, Andrew Wayers,
Aye.
Audrey Adamson,
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith,
Aye. Number 12. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policies for general school administration, section 350, administrative personnel other than the superintendent, and 3.60, administrative responsibility of the building principal.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow this reading to stand for both the first and second reading.
So, second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Kate Schaefer,
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros,
Aye.
Andrew Wayers,
Aye.
Audrey Adamson,
Aye.
Justin Anderson,
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith,
Aye. Number 13, the recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 3410, superintendent as presented.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow this reading to stand for both first and second reading.
Second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kate Schaefer,
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros,
Aye.
Andrew Wayers,
Aye.
Audrey Adamson, Justin Anderson,
Aye.
Chet DeSmet,
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith,
Aye. Number 14, the recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for first reading the revised Board of Education policy for general personnel sections 5210, resignations 5220, substitute teachers, and 5260, student teachers.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both first and second reading.
So moved.
Discussion, roll call please.
Maria S. Trigueros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayers.
Aye.
Audrey Edmondson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson. Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. All right, here we go for this one. Number 15. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for first reading the revised Board of Education policies for section 615, school accountability, 620, school year calendar and day, 6120, education of children with disabilities, 6130, program for the gifted, 6180, extended instruction programs, 6220, bring your own technology, EYOT program, responsible use and conduct, 6300, graduation requirements, high school credit for non-district experiences, course substitution, re-entering students, 6130, high school credit for non-district experiences, course substitution, re-entry students, 6320, high school credit for proficiency, and 6340, student testing and assessment program.
I would very much like to waive the second. Stand for both first and second reading.
So moved.
Second.
There better be no discussion. Okay. Roll call, please.
Andrew Wayers.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Okay, number 16. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education for the first reading accepts the first, oh my gosh. For first reading, the revised Board of Education policy for section 650, school wellness.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow this reading to stand for both first and second reading.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayers.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Okay. Number 17, the recommended motion in the Board of Education, except for the first reading, the revised Board of Education policy 660, curriculum content.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both first and second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayers.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Number 18, the recommended motion is that the Board of Education accepts the first reading of the revised Board of Education policy for section 6135, accelerated placement program.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow this reading to stand for both first and second reading.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria S. Trigueros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayers.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Okay, number 19. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policies for school board sections 710, equal education opportunities, 720, harassment of students prohibited, 730, students and assignments in intra-district transfer, 750, school admissions and student transfers to and from non-district schools, 760, the residents, 7150, agency and police interview, 7190, student behavior, 7200, suspension procedures, 7210, expulsion procedure, 7240, conduct code for participants in extracurricular activities, 7250, student support services, 7260, exemption from physical education, 7310, restrictions of publications in elementary schools, 7340, student records, 7345, use of educational technology, student data privacy and security.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow this reading to stand for both first and second reading.
So moved.
Second. Discussion, roll call please.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria Estragaros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Number 20, the recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 770, attendance and truancy.
I'd like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both first and second reading.
Second. Discussion, roll call please.
Maria Estragaros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Number 21, that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 780, release time for religious instruction and observance.
I'd like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both the first and second reading.
So moved.
Discussion, roll call please.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria Estragaros.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Number 22, recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 7160, student appearance.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both first and second reading.
So moved.
Second. Discussion, roll call please.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria Estragaros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Number 23, the recommended motions of the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 7180, prevention of and response to bullying, intimidation, and harassment.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both the first and second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call please.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria Estragaros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Number 24, the recommended motion that the Board of Education accept for the first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 7290, suicide and depression awareness and prevention.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both first and second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call please.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria Estragaros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. Number 25, first reading of the revised Board of Education. Oh my gosh, I've lost track of where I am. Number 25, the recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept for first reading the revised Board of Education policy for section 7315, restriction on publications high school.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow this reading to stand for both the first and second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call please.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Maria Estragaros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. And finally, number 26, the recommended motion is that the Board of Education accept the first reading revised Board of Education policies for community relations, sections 870, accommodate individuals with disabilities, and 8100, relations with other organizations and agencies.
I would like to waive the second reading and allow the first reading to stand for both first and second reading.
Second.
Hearing none, roll call.
Maria Estragaros.
Aye.
Andrew Wayert.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Chet DeSmet.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye. All right. I'm done talking for a while. Reports, requests, and open discussion.
All right, thank you. The academic recovery process continues to take place with each passing week. The additional certified teachers that we hired, along with all of our teachers and support staff, are all in for kids every single day. We are currently in the middle of winter map testing and are awaiting final analysis. However, early reviews indicate a growth trend that is incredibly positive. We are also approaching our panorama window to assess our students' most current social emotional well-being at this time. And we'll use this and other data to be sure we are tailoring our programs and supports so each learner has their individual needs met. We have a half school day improvement scheduled for February 2nd and parent-teacher conferences for spring are fast approaching. Lastly, the green light to implement the CDC's new guidance on quarantine days has been a positive, swift change that has brought hundreds of kids back to school. Our head nurse, Dawn Carnahan, reports very positive feedback on those changes from our parents. We continue to applaud Ms. Carnahan and all of our school nurses for their hard work this year. Overall, we are trending in the right direction in terms of positive cases for COVID, and I'm eternally grateful that we've been able to keep our doors open for our students and our families.
Dave, do you have anything?
No, just on the financial reports, it's the first month you've seen it in a while because we had the AFR drag on. So I included summaries for October, November, and then you've seen everything that for December. If you have any questions, we're in good financial shape.
All right, any open discussion? All right, I do have something to say, and I'm going to take my mask off for a minute. Before we adjourn this evening, I feel I would be remiss if I did not thank Chief Galt, Sergeant Hoover, and the rest of the Bowling Police Department. We are incredibly fortunate to have the relationship that we do. We appreciate your support and care in the good times and the difficult. I also feel it is important to recognize our Superintendent, Dr. Savage, our upper administration, Mrs. Landon, and her staff. I thank you for your grace and professionalism under fire. I am proud of this board. We continue to work through difficult situations as a team. Finally, I would like to call attention to the fact that some pretty nasty things have been said to our superintendent, staff, and this board. I think there's a pretty important lesson to be had. We hold our children in and out of school to the standard of listening, talking out differences, and most importantly, to be kind when we don't agree. I think that is a standard is one that we as adults should work towards and reflect on. Anything else? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
We're out.